Hello and welcome back to the Unboxable Unstoppable podcast. This is a place for women to hear stories about other people who are doing unboxable, unstoppable things in their lives and how they came to do it, and also to learn tools to bring into your life as a woman or as a mother that will allow you to integrate and transform yourself. By transforming yourself, I mean learning skills and tools and tricks and hacks and all of those things to live a more soulful and ethical life. Why do we want to live a more soulful and ethical life? Well, certainly at the moment, the world is in flux. There are a lot of environmental ups and downs occurring. Certainly where I live, there's flooding and storms, and I think we are being called, certainly the way I perceive it, is that we are being called to step up a little bit. The way that we live, the way that we make choices about what we own and where it comes from and who makes it and where it goes when we're finished with it. And those sorts of choices are what I call responsible living choices or ethical living choices that I love to talk about and share. I also really believe that we are being called to live more soulfully and feel more connected to those around us, to the environment and to each other and our families and our children, and deeply within ourselves, because it starts with us. If we want to change the world or we want to change the future, we do that by changing ourselves. So Soul Mama, the brand that I run, the business that I run, is really about changing how we live by changing the way we feel inside. And I know that for a lot of mothers, early in childhood, babies, toddlers, young children need a lot of care and nurturing. And whether or not we are working, whether or not we are the stay-at-home parent or the co-parent, there's a lot involved. We have to pour ourselves into that, and we often do, sometimes to our own detriment. So I guess what I love to talk about on this podcast a lot is how we can do that, be the most committed and nurturing and soulful parents possible while still maintaining ourselves. And it's a tall order. It's something that I don't believe we are supposed to do alone. One of the things that I'm called the most to do is build communities. So in the building of communities, my main driver is that I don't feel like we can do all the things we need to do in this world without helping each other, without doing it in community. And I know from my own experience that a problem shared is a problem halved, but also, apart from the trite cliches, we definitely feel differently when we do these things together. So a large part of the work that I'm here to do and to share and to talk about is to bring people together and to bring people into contact with ideas that will help change us, that will help transform us and grow us from the inside out in order to meet the challenges that we face day to day in our lives, in the world as it stands. And that, my friends, is what we are going to talk about today. I'm not going to talk long. There's a lot going on in the world at the moment, and I do feel very strongly that if you're someone who watches the news and you're someone who may feel deeply or maybe be a highly sensitive person or an empath, that you will be affected by what's going on in the world right now. I know I am. And every now and again this week, I've had these moments of just deep sadness and deep contemplation because I don't really know what I can do about refugee crises, about climate change, about the big ticket items that are in the news right now, about flood victims, about COVID victims, about all the things. The world is a big, hairy, scary place right now. And I am not willing to suggest that any one of us has the solution for all of these big, hairy, scary problems. But what I will suggest is that if you do happen to find yourself in a position to be listening to this podcast in a comfortable home, to be listening to this on your way to work, to be listening to this somewhere in a grey area between in crisis and in a comfortable home, if you have any capacity to help those who are less fortunate and you have any kind of deep feeling or contemplation, you are most likely, like me, trying to work out, how do I reconcile this? How do I reconcile the fact that I'm okay, I'm living my life, but there's so many people who are not? How do I bridge that gap? ethically and as a deeply feeling human being, how do you bridge that gap? So the way that I look at it is that if we are able to strengthen ourselves and become courageous and become whole, fully functioning, highly functioning people, then we are able to extend beyond our comfortable homes and our comfortable jobs and our comfortable habits and begin to do things a little differently and begin to think a little more collectively and help those that we can help and be there for those that we can be there for. And that might mean that in the taxi on the way to the airport, when you're flying off to do your job, you listen to the taxi driver tell you a story about how they lost everything last year. And you listen with empathy. And you listen with real... Sorry. There's a little bit of music coming in here that's not supposed to go in here. Can you tell that I don't have a producer? Let me just delete that. So yes, as I was saying, if it means that when you're in a taxi, you listen to the person driving that taxi, if it means that your boss comes into work and seems off, you ask them what's wrong and you listen intently for the answer and you say, please be truthful. Maybe it means you have to have a difficult conversation with people at work and you go in there and you say, I need to have a difficult conversation with you and I know it's going to be hard. But if we do this together and we have this conversation, it's an important conversation, and we do it honestly and we're honest with each other, we'll get through this. Maybe we just need to become a little more vulnerable and a little more honest in our day-to-day lives about what's going on for us. And I think it's really important to note that as we go about our daily life, as we continue to live and make different choices and become more empathetic and become more closely connected within our communities, in the world, with those we can help, that we start to fulfill an important part of our own integrity, that we become genuinely whole people. We become the kinds of people that we aspire to be, and we model that for others. By being brave and courageous and vulnerable, we allow others to be brave and courageous and vulnerable and truthful about their feelings. And this is actually some of the most important work we can do right now. How do we do that? We become mindful. We become mindful of our own triggers, of our own weakest parts, for want of better words. We become aware of when those parts of us are activated and what to do when they are, so that we don't react but respond. We can't choose what happens to us, but we can choose how we respond. We can do that by learning tools like mindfulness, like holistic health, like eating fermented foods so we have better energy, like taking chemicals out of our home so that our endocrine and hormone systems are not disrupted and our moods are more stable. This is a whole system change I'm talking about, personally and interpersonally and culturally. And I feel that this is the only way that we can move forward as a race living on this planet. And I say race in the human race because we are one human race, right? So this is my big idea for today. I think it's really important that together we keep conversing, discussing, communing around these big ideas. How can we support each other to just be better and do better in this world? And I'm not trying to be Pollyanna about this. I have some really good tools and some really deeply transformative interpersonal tools that I'm offering in the membership that I offer, and free online in my group on Facebook, in this podcast. I do a lot of this work because I'm passionate about it and I believe in it. So what I'm asking you to do, I'm asking you to enter this conversation with me. Come and find me at Soul Mama Hub. Come and search for me, Elena Turley, online. Send a message to me. Tell me what's going on for you. Tell me how this affects you, this conversation. Tell me what your ideas are around what's got you stuck with this. Why can't I be better? Why can't I feel okay in the world at the moment? Why can't I get my energy back after having a child? Why can't I parent the way I would like to choose to parent? Tell me what's going on for you. Let me help, because this is what I am here to do. So please get in touch. There's show notes. there's www.soulmamahub.com with all the links to socials, SOULMAMAHUB. And with that, I will say farewell, take it easy, tread lightly, and go gently. Bye for now.